John Byrne is in the news again, and I'll tell you why I don't care in this video. I'm Dennis Barger, 45-year veteran of reading comic books and 21-year veteran of owning comic book stores. When I started reading comics, John Byrne was my jam. When I started going back and reading back issues, everything Byrne touched amazed me. Then I started dabbling in selling comic books as I was also selling toys. And then, luck would have it, John Byrne was going to come to my local show, and I was finally going to get a chance to meet a guy who I thought was one of the most incredible writers in comics. My favorite comic book was The Marvel Age, where John Byrne is the mole creature coming up out of the ground, and it's got the Fantastic Four, and it was to announce that John Byrne was going to be doing the Fantastic Four. I read every issue of that. I had a subscription. John Byrne destroyed everything I thought that you could do with the Fantastic Four, and did it so much better than anybody had ever done it before in my small, young child mind. I couldn't wait to tell John Byrne what I felt about his writing. So I was a dealer. I couldn't get away from my booth, and every time I did, John Byrne had a huge line. He was right across the hall from me. I could see him all day long, and he had a line the entire time. Then, 30 minutes before the end of the show, I grabbed my copy of Marvel Age with John Byrne drawn on the cover and the Fantastic Four, and I got over in line. There was only one person in line, and I got behind that guy. And as John Byrne finished drawing a signature for him, John Byrne started talking to the guy next to him, Howard Chaykin. And Howard, if you ever get a chance to see this, you know this happened, and I would love for you to acknowledge it. So I'm holding my comic book. I'm waiting patiently. John Byrne is talking to Howard Chaykin, another comic book legend, and I waited patiently. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes easily. And then John finishes up with Howard Chaykin, and he says, "Well, Howard, I'll see you at the next one of these things." And he grabs his pens off the front of the table, throws it in his briefcase, shuts the briefcase, and starts to leave. And I'm just standing there, holding the comic book that I've been waiting 5 minutes for him to acknowledge that I was in front of him holding. And John Byrne doesn't even look at me while he's doing this, while he's packing up his stuff. And I go, "Excuse me, Mr. Byrne, I just wanted to have you sign this comic book." "Nah, sorry, kid. Show's over." I go, "But the show's still open for another 20 minutes. And he's like, "Yeah, no, the show's over for me." And literally Howard Chaykin does one of these. "Oh, God, John, why are you doing this to this kid?" I kid you not. John Byrne had a moment to just say, if he was done signing with the kid that was in front of me, just say, "Hey man, I'm sorry, I'm done for the day." But he let me wait there for 5 minutes as a punishment for how dare you be the last person that wants to see me. And John had such a glee in his eye when he got to tell me that he wasn't going to sign my book and that I had just waited there for 5 minutes. And I realized that prick is a sadistic asshole. Cut to 8 years later. That's when I opened Wonderworld Comics. And guess what? John had fallen very far from grace during this period of time. So now he was only working for Dark Horse, IDW, whoever would listen to his pitch and hear him out and let him produce books. But now there's somebody new ordering. And I said to myself, unless somebody asks me for a John Byrne book, I'm not going to ever order a John Byrne book. Because if I contribute to selling John Byrne books, somebody might become a fan. And somebody might actually go in front of John Byrne and want to meet him. And I don't want to put that on anybody. So then, when Facebook started at around 2009, we started having these retailer groups. And every once in a while, when John Byrne had some new title for some new indie book, we'd all start talking. And we realized we all met John Byrne too. We all loved John Byrne, and we all hated John Byrne. So, John, I'm just letting you know, there's, I'm sure, a ton of people that will read whatever shit you put on a page. And it may be great from time to time. But so many people who you treated like shit back in the day all own stores now. And guess what? They're all telling me they don't give two shits about your new X-Men book. John Byrne, your finest days are behind you. And it's great that you're still alive, and I don't ever wish you ill will. But until I see some kind of mea culpa for the way you treated your fans for 50 years, I don't know that I'll ever trust you or ever care about anything that you write in the future. Don't ever meet your heroes, kids. But I'm Dennis Barger, living in the past, but living for the future.